Tato Jayam Udiret. Jaya Saparikara Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundara Pada Padmanam Jayastu. Jaya Saparikara Shishi Guru Gaura Chandra Giriraj Ju Pada Padmanam Jayastu. Sakala Vaishnava Pade Mora Namaskara Ite Kichu Aparada Nahukaya Mara Hoichin Hoiben Prabhur Jatu Bhaktajan Bandana Kuri Ami Sabara Charana. 22. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So now we say a prayer to our original Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, who brought Krishna consciousness to America in 1965, and he traveled around the world for 12 years and departed from us in 1977. It's not, unfortunately, it's not in the book yet. Our new book will have it, but okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Swami Shri Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupadaya Te Nama Gurvagyam Shri Shri Dittva Shaktya Swarupine Hare Krishneti Mantrena Paschatya Prachatarane Visvacharya Pavaryaya Divya Karunya Murtaye Sri Bhagavata Madhurya Gita Jnana Pradayine Gaura Sri Rupa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishevine Radha Krishna Padambojo Ringaya Gurave Namaha. Shri Vandana Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Gurudev Ki Jai, Shri Guru Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Yep. Can I cover it?
Huh?
I can sing? That's okay. I mean, you're the guy with the mridanga, so I gotta ask you.
So the instruments we play are very simple. This is traditional Bengali drum from Eastern India. And it's called a mridanga. There's also a drum in the South India called the mridanga, but it's different. Also in Bengali called this the kol. So it has a kind of a high end, more bass end, and can make a lot of different sounds. It does too. And then the simple hand cymbal is called karatal. So it's a traditional Bengali simple musical style.
It's really cool that we're told that the mridanga is a living entity. How that works, I don't know, whether it's the collective mridangas or it's each individual mridanga. I guess maybe it's both. But there's like a spiritual energy that kind of pervades the mridanga. And when you hear the mridanga like speaking, when Sudarshan Prabhu plays the mridanga, it's like the expression of devotion that is contained there comes from the conscious plane. This is what we're told, and this is what we, hearing again and again and again for so many years, you kind of begin to feel like that there's a presence there that is beyond just the clay and the drum heads and what are they called? The things that connect the whole mridanga. So it's beyond the combination of material elements. There's just so much more. So when we chant, we can simultaneously meditate on the sounds that surround our chanting, which is like the mridanga and also the resonation of the kartals, the spiritual symbols that are played and have been played for probably thousands of years in India, and only recently were brought to the West in 1965. And myself and my former wife, Shuleka, came in contact with Krishna consciousness in like late 1969. And it was so deeply feeling in its nature that, we were just like drawn in. And we've been like pursuing like a subtle path in the development of our inner spiritual self for like the last 56 years.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who aren't even that old, right? So yeah, it's just, it's been an amazing like awakening journey through which, the feeling of yourself and the feeling and the presence of others, like gradually, goes beyond just the external visionary view of the others as, the body, but more begins to resonate with the inner self that's within all of us. And, over time it develops more and more and more. But even though we've been in 55 years, the way we see it is we're just scratching the surface. And, who knows? Krishna can do anything he wants in terms of revealing things to us, but just in terms of like a process, a developmental process, we can see that there's a long way to go. But knowing that Krishna can transform us instantly, or he can show us so many different lessons in relation to our like connection with the material world, showing us, the elements of enjoyment that are there, and how those elements of enjoyment are connected with a higher experience of the enjoyment of the spiritual world, and how those elements of pain and dissatisfaction are, a natural product of the illusion that we've walked into in the material world. They're there with an intention, and that intention is to show to us that this is not our real home. We can't, everybody senses within. We want that place where we're happy and together and we love everybody, and we just feel like that because that's our soul. That's what our soul feels. But that kind of experience is apparently blocked by the material world and the material body we're in. But as we learn to transfer our consciousness from the old material consciousness that we were mostly raised in to a more spiritual consciousness, we begin to realize that my life is not limited to the duration of this body, but rather my life will go on. And all we can do, understanding that, all we can do is just, pray to the Lord, pray to Lord Krishna, that we'll again and again be placed in a position where we can render devotional service and serve Him, aspiring after the ideal that we're shown by our gurus, that, they'll go anywhere, up and down, hell, heaven, they don't care. They just want to serve and tell people about Krishna consciousness. So we've seen that in the lives of our great gurus, that these souls, they were living simultaneously while being here. We could see they were on a different plane of existence. Everyone they looked at, everyone they saw, everyone that they interacted with felt their feeling of love, and felt their feeling that, they want to give their lives to helping us. That kind of presence is generally transformational. We try to lend our heart to the heart of the souls that are guiding us. And by doing that, we make a connection that gradually takes us out of our, the material consciousness of this world. So, that what we try to do when we go out in the streets and chant, or when we talk about Krishna consciousness, all we ask is that people, open their hearts and try to, experience this as it comes down, ultimately from this Supreme Lord, and as we understand it, through the via mediums of our divine Guru Parampara. So yeah, I just talked a long time.
It's very spiritually.
Thank you.
Nurturing.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
Sometimes I wonder, I go off on these riffs and,
Wow.
is it working?
Is it working?
Okay. So we're chanting Sri Guru Charan Padma, huh? Okay. All right, 74. Just a moment. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Kati Sadma
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma
Bando Mui Savadhana Mate Bhavatoriya Jai Krishna Prapti Hoy Jangha Hoy Te Vakya Chitte Te Koriya Kya
Vakya Chitte Te Koriya
Arona Koriyo Mare Asha Prabhu say Go
Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol. Shri Guru Vaishnava Mahatmya Giti Ki Jai. You can read. The lotus feet of the spiritual master are the abode of pure devotional service. I bow down to those lotus feet with great care and attention. My dear brother, my dear mind, it is through the grace of the spiritual master that we cross over this material world.
Make the teachings from the lotus mouth of the spiritual master one with your heart, and do not desire anything else. Attachment to the lotus feet of the spiritual master is the best means of spiritual advancement. By his mercy, all desires for spiritual perfection are fulfilled.
He who has given me the gift of transcendental vision is my Lord, birth after birth. By his mercy, divine knowledge is revealed within the heart, bestowing loving devotion and destroying ignorance. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character.
O spiritual master, ocean of mercy and friend of the fallen souls, you are the teacher of everyone and the life of all people. O master, be merciful unto me, and give me the shade of your lotus feet. May your glories now be proclaimed throughout the three worlds.
I have surrendered unto your fearless lotus feet. Please give your mercy, O Sri Gurudev, Savior of the fallen. Please give me your mercy. You are the Savior of the lowly fallen souls. All glories to you, Sri Gurudev.
Jai Srila Narottam Das Thakur Ki Jai.
I knew it. I could feel it.
Why, how did you like mystically appear?
Yeah.
Suddenly I heard your voice.
Yeah, you're in the kitchen.
Is this
You're in the kitchen.
Came right up-
coming from beyond the plane of
Incredible.
Oh,
mundane
mystical is
existence?
Which song?
Pro the Paramount, 25.
125?
Yeah.
Okay.
Akrodha Paramananda Nityananda Rai.
Akrodha Paramananda Nityananda Rai.
Abhimana Shunyanitai Nagare Vedai.
Abhimanya Shunyanitai Nagare Vedai.
Akrodha Paramananda Nityananda
Nityanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Go to Parma.
Lord Nityananda Prabhu is free from anger and full of transcendental ecstasy. He wanders throughout the towns, free from false pride and arrogance.
He travels from door to door to the homes of the fallen souls, freely distributing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
With straw between his teeth, he begs all who cross his path, worship Lord Govinda Hari, and you will purchase me.
Word attachment for such incarnation.
Sing.
Number 4.
4. Saying this, Nityananda falls to the ground, appearing like a golden mountain rolling in the dust. Sorry.
Jaya.
Oh, good.
Where attachment for such an incarnation has not arisen. Lotan Das says that such a simple person comes and goes in the cycle of repeated birth and death.
Jai Shri Lochan Das Thakur. Ki Jai.
Let's do 152.
I'll make a quick comment on this. So
Yes.
we just sung 2 songs, which are really about the Guru principle. There's an amazing word in Sanskrit, which is the beginning of almost every prayer, almost every shloka, and it's Om. And Srila Guru Maharaj says Om means the universal positive, the universal yes. What you're looking for, it exists. There's something that we can't even define that we feel inside of ourselves, this sense of dissatisfaction, the sense of longing, the sense of need that is pushing us to go and do many things, search many places, right? To explore, take chances, do many things. And it's what? We are searching for our home, we're searching for our satisfaction. And we don't quite know what it is. But we just know we don't have it, right? And it's a very fascinating thing, you know, in the science of consciousness. It's called Vipralambha, means separation. There's some gap between where you want to be and where you are, and you don't know quite where that is. So you're in this search. And the principle of Guru is you're not in a dead world. When you begin that journey, that authentic quest, that authentic search, you're not doing it in a dead world. It's known, recognized, and help is there. Right? Chakudan Diloje means, Janme Janme Prabhu say means, some divine guidance is coming to me life after life. And it's always going to be there. Right? There's some sense of trust, some sense of overcoming our fear and also overcoming our like sort of solitary, fearful view of life where I'm by myself and I got to make it myself, or like, you know, it's not going to work, right? You're in connection with something that's benevolent, loving, and merciful to you. And to break down those barriers of fear, break down those barriers of suspicion, and to actually start to make a real open-hearted offering, that's going to be reciprocated, right? And to the extent the song we just sang, Nityananda Prabhu, sometimes we even say Guru Nityananda. He's the basis of the Guru principle. And he's coming and asking people, please move toward this direction. Please start to participate in actual existence. So, very positive, very hopeful, and very true view of life that has to ultimately be connected with and experienced. Okay, Rai.
152. Oh hey Hari Nama Tava Mahimaya Pada.
Hey Hari Nama
Tava Mahima Apara.
Tava Pade Nati Ami
Hare
Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Shri Namastakam Ki.
Joy.
Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki.
Joy.
O holy name, your glories are boundless. Therefore I bow down at your lotus feet again and again.
O grand festival of Gokula, O ocean of bliss, I fall down at your lotus feet, for I am feeling very distressed and troubled at heart.
You are Lord Krishna, your divine form is fully perfect and complete. You are the origin of all transcendental mellows. Falling down at your lotus feet, I sing of your divine qualities.
You definitely destroy the multitude of afflictions of that person who takes exclusive shelter at your holy feet.
I love verse 5. You destroy all of their offenses, even to the extent of the 10 offenses against the chanting of the holy name. So the holy name itself is so kind that despite ourselves, it allows you to try and chant.
Yeah, like direct slap at the holy name, but they're like, I embrace you, that's okay.
Cleansing them of all impurities, you are then seated upon the throne of their heart as their supreme shelter.
You are delightful and beautiful as the personification of complete cognizance and condensed bliss. The Vedas sing of you, saying, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is verily the personification of all transcendental knowledge.
Jai.
At the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, Bhaktivedanta constantly begs at every moment for the direct revelation of the holy name.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai.
I always think like this song is so unique because it's really illustrating some of the unique Gaudiya Vaishnav kind of things, right? So many expressions of the Lord are coming from so many different hearts, but there's like a special strain that comes in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Braso Vaisa Boli Veda Kori Tuyagan means like this idea of saying not only are you delightful and beautiful, which is an amazing concept of God, right? Like not just this authoritarian that's like checking on if you've been kind of hanging in, but like you're beautiful, you're delightful, and you're condensed bliss. Like what, we don't even know what that means, but like what flows from you is like unending joy of like some kind of quality that is everything else is incomparable. But then even on top of like already that's amazing. But then it says, you're the personification of all feeling. Every kind of feeling is actually coming from and expressed in its most high, refined, dramatic form, one could say. Every nuance of feeling that's possible. That's what Raso Vaisa means. Like all kinds of, everything's coming from you. Right? Because we always think there's like these very flat ideas. And I don't know why, because humans are very complicated. Why would like the source of every single thing that we see be sort of like two-dimensional? Like, he is good and it's interesting, you know, or something. It's like, no, every single type of feeling that you could possibly imagine and far beyond what you can imagine, they're coming from his heart. He's the personification of all feeling, right? Then you're going like, what an amazing refined idea of who like the Supreme is, right? You know, not just, you know, divided into three or divided into like, you know, being older or like these guys, but like so fine, all feeling coming from him. And like this idea actually from Guru Maharaj, he really appreciated it of that the divine source of everything is beautiful, right? That's what this name Krishna means. He's all attractive, right? Something in your heart will feel natural. It's not like some artificial thing, you know, like, you know, where it's like if you're in proximity to the truth, you will feel your heart overflow. That's what his nature is, and your nature is to search for him. And it's very refined. And it's coming like, you know, hiding in these kirtans, you could say. And then you're going, wait a second, I never heard that anywhere else. Anywhere else. Nothing close to that idea of God. Nothing.
First two shlokas are amazing
It's
together.
so cool.
To kind of, and it ties in, I don't know, this Kirtan book is obviously like, freaking, that's a huge ocean in and of itself. But like we sang Nityananda song there, Sudar was telling something about the principle of Guru. And this, Nityananda is, facilitating everything. He's like the potency of manifestation, whether it's spiritual or material. And this holy name is then likened unto a grand festival of Gokula. I mean, it's just incredible.
Joy.
This is the supreme reality. Everything is within that realm of Gokula. But depending on our own relationship with Guru,
Yes.
it can maybe not appear like that so much. Generally speaking, it's not appearing like that to myself, but we know this is the true ultimate reality.
Yeah, layers and layers of consciousness. These
Right.
words are very, very actually quite amazing words when you think that there's... It kind of blows me away because in Sanskrit there are so many words for ideas in English that there's only one word for.
Mm.
And it kind of describes the culture of spiritual science, right? It's a spiritually scientific culture. The process of spiritual life is scientific. It's just not empiric.
Yeah.
We have this idea of science and the scientific method, but it's empiric science, meaning it has to be viewable outside of yourself. But in spiritual life, it's scientific process. You have a hypothesis, you have tests, right? But it's all occurring inside of yourself. There's no one else who can judge it. There's no one else who can see it. And a culture that has so many words for these layers of consciousness that you pass through. It's a very refined spiritual culture.
Yeah.
And to say these things about the source of reality, Ati Ramya. Ramya, I mean, I like this translation, delightful.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ramya means like so pleasing. Chidgana, like complete cognizance, complete awareness. Anandamurtiman, the form of bliss. And then Rasovaisaha, it's like a very famous, very ancient saying. Very, very ancient. Written in the first known book, which was probably way before it was actually written, is its actual age. But Rasovaisaha means he is Rasa. Rasa means the juice, the thing that your consciousness is searching for, that ocean of variegated feeling, and not dead feeling, not like you achieve it and it's like, well, I got it, I guess I'll just lay down forever, but like dynamic, alive feeling, full of surprise and freshness. Rasa Vaisaha, he is Rasa. Like that idea, that juice of existence. Very refined statements in these very compact, little stanzas that you might find in like a village, with someone in a hut saying these like super high ideas.
Yeah, for real.
Like Sukadev Goswami, there's one story of Sukadev when he was 16. He's the son of Vyasadeva, and he's wandering through a forest and he hears a woodcutter singing this shloka. And he's like, what is this big high sound from this man cutting wood in the forest? He says, and he comes to the man, he said, where did you hear this idea, this sound? Where is it coming from you? He said, I heard it from a teacher there. And then there's a whole story that comes from that. But they like these big high sounds from such a very simple place. It's very profound. Hare Krishna.
I want to thank Rai for introducing a new category.
What? What's the new category?
Gaudiya Vaishnava kind of thing. That's supposed to be funny.
Quite it's a useful label.
I didn't know where we were going with the category. Oh no.
Okay, maybe we can sing one more song. And maybe we can sing a Krishna Kirtan.
Something about Imli Kala in here, do you know?
Imli, tell us today.
No, it came up yesterday.
Amazing place. It is an amazing
Mahaprabhu
place.
never leaves in Nicole.
Really?
Yeah, I have to say one of the greatest talks I've ever heard in my life was sitting actually at Imlitala with Goswami Maharaj,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so magical too.
Was that recorded? When you talk about
It was recorded. It was recorded.
was that 2018?
Yeah.
You guys went?
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah, 2018.
I get all the
It was
years mixed up.
2019 we were in Australia and everything like quiet.
Yeah, I went in 2019. You guys went the year before.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Imlitala is like quite a,
There's a beautiful temple there, and the trees in the courtyard of the temple. And while the talk was happening, this huge cow, like gorgeous cow, like she's all painted. She has like gold tips on her horns. Like she's like very like just beautifully walking, gracefully walking. She walks right into the courtyard from the street while we're sitting there. And then she walks right up the stairs into the Nat Mandir of the temple and like comes in there. And then all the people that were in the temple came and gave her garlands and like all these things. It was just like, whoa, what is happening here? It's totally magical.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Huge cows there when we were there, and they lay out the cloth for them to come and sit down, and they're ginormous. These cows.
Yeah, huge.
And they just lay the cloth out for them to sit on.
Okay, so maybe we can sing
The verse.
Rupa Kirtan.
what page? What page?
232.
Mahaprabhu.
Janama sapala daro, Krishna darshana jaro.
Janama sapala daro, Krishna darshana jaro.
Bhagye hoy ache ekobaro. Koshiya Nayana Kori Krishna Darshana. Hare Krishna Rupa Khani Heriya Kadamba Mule.
Krishna Rupa Khani Heriya
গেলাম ঘুরে সুধাময় স্বরূপ মাধুরী দেখিলে নয়ন হইয়াছে ধন ঝরে প্রেমময় বাণী শিরে দিবা বংশী ধরে ভঙ্গ ধাম কমলে আমি আয়ু চলে তাহাতে দাম সদায় আশা করি ভৃঙ্গরূপ ধরি শরণ কমলে স্থান সে পায় কৃষ্ণ গুণ গায় আজ না ভাজিব
Rupa Kirtan, Jaya.
His birth is successful, his good fortune dawns so as to have the vision of Lord Krishna once. When the soul gives up all delusions of the mind, then only will they see the vision of Krishna blooming within the eyes of their heart.
One sees Krishna, they are fully decorated with garlands of forest flowers, as the most expert connoisseur of all the amorous love sports in Vrindavan. His transcendental form bent in 3 places, playing wonderfully on his flute. He is the reservoir of all relishable mellows and is the abode of all virtuous qualities.
By such a beautiful form, he is maddening the entire universe. His complexion is like that of a fresh new rain cloud. His head is decorated with a big peacock feather, and the sandalwood tilak on his forehead is most becoming. Wearing brilliant yellow-colored garments, he stands with his face decorated by a wide, sweet smile.
Beholding him standing at the base of a kadamba tree, I can see that Krishna's beauty is conquering the luster of an entire mine of sapphires. Seeing this, my mind has become so restless that my feet will move no longer, and I've completely forgotten about my family and home life in this world.
O Saki, O dear girlfriend, seeing that sweet form abounding in nectar, I have fallen unconscious as a fountain of tears gushing with ecstatic love cascades from my eyes.
What a wonderful crown upon his head. What a wonderful flute he is holding in his hand. What a wonderfully beautiful form as he stands in his 3-fold bending posture. The nectar of his lotus feet is overflowing with the tinkling sounds coming from the clusters of ankle bells which are decorating them.
Accepting the form of a honeybee, I always hope for a residence near his lotus feet, and I will get it very easily because I always sing the glories of Krishna, adoring no one else.
Jai Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai.
Jai Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining this Sankirtan Yajna today. Very much appreciated. Jai Vishnu Pashila Bhakti Sundar Gurudev Goswami Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Vishnu Pashila Bhakti Rakshaka Shri Dhardev Goswami Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Shri Rupanu Gurvarga Ki Jai.
Jai.
Navacharya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai.
Jai.
Nitai Go
Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Oh, I'm thinking, does everybody know how to pronounce these letters with the dots underneath? Okay, cool. Say for example, where are we? Guna, na. The tongue is not like the normal N, but it's back on the top of the mouth. Na, guna. And then, let's see, Krishna, kra, sha, na, all at the top of the mouth. Then,
So those in Sanskrit grammar, those are called palatals.
mm,
Means you touch the tip of your tongue to the top of your mouth. It's called the palate. So, or na, or ta, or da, whatever that dot is on the bottom, you're putting the tip of your tongue on the top of your mouth.
so then in 4,
That
Comma.
would be- that- There is a difference. The
Which
first
two?
one is the soft palatal,
Uh-huh.
and the second type of sound is the hard palatal. So when we say ra, the tip of the tongue is near the soft palate, near the teeth.
mhm,
And when we say the ra in Krishna, the tip of the tongue is rolled in itself
Ra.
towards the hard palate.
Uh-huh.
So that is the difference between the ra and the r. So when you roll the tongue,
Uh-huh.
bring it close to the hard palate, that's how you pronounce
Uh-huh.
r. With r in Krishna.
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 That's funny, that's the technically correct way to pronounce
Krishna.
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 It's like rolling back.
Because r and the long r are the Vedic sounds, which are
You're talking about the in the vowels, the r and re.
no, I'm talking about the consonants.
The ra and re are
The-
actually
the-
vowels, right?
The r that goes to the hard palate, that would be the vowel. But the r,
Oh.
that is
Oh, you just the R consonant. Yeah.
the R consonant
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
is
Yes.
towards the soft palate,
Yes.
whereas the
Yeah, that makes
vowel
sense.
r is towards the hard palate.
Yep.
Isn't this all at the beginning somewhere, or is that
It's
somewhere
not
else?
in. It's not in this book.
No,
Not-
Gita,
It's
as
in
it
the-
is.
it's in
Oh, it's in the
Gita.
Gita as it is, okay,
Yeah.
right. So we can consult with that.
But
And-
there was an error in that, actually.
Oh, well,
We
anyway,
discovered an
we
error in
we can
that.
discuss all this, but it's nice if we can cite the verses with proper pronunciation. Because, if we come in contact with someone who's familiar with Sanskrit or, even has just simply been raised in India, if we're not pronouncing it properly, it gives a little jar. Whereas if we pronounce it properly, it gives like a notation, like, wow, that's proper. So it's nice to be able to do this. It's not, it's not really like optional. No, it kind of is, but it helps. It helps so much when we present ourselves in a way that's proper and in line with, with basic, Sanskrit pronunciation. Right?
Yeah,
All right.
foundational things, like you eventually have to get it,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah, it's like,
It's sound
most often,
vibrations.
pretty much. it's
yes, we're
very-
growing a new self, and part of that new self is the pronunciation of our original language, which is Sanskrit.
I was going to say, I was listening to Srila Guru Maharaj speaking about the holy name. And in the verse he's saying, when the mind becomes free of delusion, one will get the glimpse of Krishna. And that Guru Maharaj said to really chant the name of the Lord one may have to cross many oceans. So many layers of delusion are there. And he said, that is, that to actually achieve that, plane, all these levels of delusion are gone. And one is accepting the humble position without, Guru Maharaj said, do not think that those divine personalities will mistake your modesty for ignorance or for lack of qualification. But we have to come to that platform, and for that we may cross many, many oceans, like to come to that position. But it is so high of and beautiful of a prospect for us that to hear that, it just helps us to understand what a precious thing we're going for. And it gives us also the process of Sharanagati and surrender that will help us to, the Lord will show us so many things as how we are looking at any situation in the wrong way through surrender. And that is like a shortcut, Guru Maharaj said. So we are, anyway, these things are there in our practicing life. Otherwise we're hearing, oh, Krishna is this, but we can't really conceive of that, but that our process is there. And Sharanagati is the essence of it.
It's like one of the few transcriptions that I've done is on that lecture. And it's so poetic. And he goes, Sharanagati, and he goes, it will carry us through many earths, through many moons, through many oceans, through many mountains. And you start to feel like this like vast feeling where you're like on this epic journey, which really like, you know, that is actually the journey of spiritual life. It is epic, right? Just when you've lost all hope, something new is uncovered. Right when you think you're on the top, you realize you're on the base camp of the, you know, like there's all these like switches that are constantly happening. But then he says, it's just this, there's this constant reorientation of like where we are, right? Because we're trying to always kind of calculate where we are, and then at some point there's some throwing ourselves, right? Where it's like, okay, I've been calculating so much, and it's always betraying me in the most needed hour, right? And then he goes, and humility will carry us through all of these different lands, you know. And he starts continuing from that point. It feels so like majestic and broad, and I've always, you know, like been tremendously excited actually about this idea of actually your spiritual life is tremendous and broad. And it is, if you're mysterious to yourself, what to speak of any other layer of the journey, right? And then if that's true, right? If this, then that. Then if there are emissaries that happen to wander these kind of lands, right? If there are people that actually can know him and they say these kinds of things about him, right? Then it's like eminently exciting to go on the quest to find what comes from their mouth, right? That's interesting. It's not super special or very unique to find that people are, you know, needing to take care of themselves and have a few desires. But it's very interesting when they say, did you know that the nature of the infinite is like this? You know, I didn't know that. Tell me more. That's amazing. How did you come across this? What do I need to do to come in proximity with this?
I think we get a glimpse of like the transcendental potency of Srila Sridhar Maharaj when he says like on the ocean. You like immediately see this ocean and yourself on the mountain. You see yourself on the mountain. It's like, it doesn't happen like ordinarily, but with the Vaishnava, because they're expressing things from a deep level of like realization and perception, when they say things that are like metaphors, they just naturally come to us in a very like real, graphic and potent way. It's just, you know, it's just, these are one of the things that we can see in the great Vaishnavas, that when they're speaking to us, they're speaking in a way, it appears like, oh, it's the same words, but it's really not. It's different. It's imbued with like transcendental realization and transcendental vision that they're transferring to us, through their own transcendental vision and knowledge and understanding. They give that to us, and of course, it's totally dependent on our own surrender. But nonetheless, the Vaishnava is so merciful that they'll see surrender in even small, insignificant ways, like bowing down, offering pranam to the guru. They see that, oh, they're trying to surrender. Let me, give to them, and give them enough so they can see, and enough so they can feel like, oh, I need to get more. This is just the beginning. This is such a wonderful, amazing vision. Let me structure my life in such a way so that I can increasingly enter into the beauties of the vision of the world that the great Vaishnavas are actually living in. Let me just give myself to that. That is our prayer. That please let me pull away from my illusory connections to this world, still while functionally maintaining, but at the same time, developing the vision that has more to do with Krishna and his relationship with us as spirit souls than with the material world and how we function in the material world. That's just secondary. Of course we have to do it, but it's not the most important thing. We have the opportunity to focus our lives in a different direction. That opportunity is given to us by, our beloved gurus. And we just have to remember and try and pray to try more. And Krishna will always help us. That's just it's a wonderful, functional experience of when we try, when we pray, there is some reciprocation that comes to us. Sometimes difficult to perceive, sometimes very small, and some wow, amazing. It varies according to our degree of surrender. But how cool we can understand that the surrendered souls are always in that state of wow, that's their life. And we have that potential. That's our goal, that's our destination. We can be in as they tell us, a constant state of awe and wonder. That is the pinnacle of experience, that is possible, I think, for a small conditioned soul like us. That when we can probe towards our relationship with the infinite, we can get a glimpse of what the infinite is and progressively understand more and more that that's our real nature, that's our real self. And, while we're concerned with functionality in this world, for the ultimate real purpose of life and the objectives of our life, we can take it way beyond the functional necessities. We can go in that direction consciously. We have that conscious opportunity. It's a door is opened by our gurus, and we just have to consciously try to realize the direction in which they want us to go and try for that. And all the while knowing that even if we make a mistake and misunderstand what they're giving to us, we're not going to be lost because of that mistake. They understand the standard is our motive. Do we want to serve? Are we trying? Even if we make mistakes, for the great gurus, they don't care about external occurrences or even occurrences that appear not directly connected with the instruction of the guru. They know who we are. They know how fallen we are. They're kind. They love us. They'll help us all along the way. And if we can, focus ourselves and try and fix ourselves on the the divine mercy of our gurus as it appears all around us, actually all the time. It's there, but we don't see it so much. But if we realize it's there, understand it's there, and try to receive the constant directions that come from above, more and more we can progress towards that stage of constant wow, amazing, how wonderful. I mean, what anyway, it's a great prospect.
Yeah, amazing idea. Okay, is there any, just very quickly, is there any kind of thought or comment or topic that somebody wanted to discuss about with Bhakti Yoga? Anything? On around chapter 14? That's good. Anything? Okay.
Rob loves chapter 14.
He had just mentioned previously that maybe there was some topic on chapter 14, but maybe it's not the right.
Depends on the mood.
Yeah, the mood. Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay, so all of what we're doing here is the practice of Bhakti Yoga. I'm going to just lay this out so that we're constantly referring to what we're doing consciously. This yoga is very subtle. It's actually very simple and at the same time very difficult. Yoga means to connect. Bhakti means devotion, dedication, love. The purpose of yoga is to connect to reality consciously. And ultimately, we're to understand reality is conscious. The basis of reality is consciousness, not matter. Matter doesn't create consciousness, consciousness creates matter. To connect our conscious self to reality, that means yoga. And Bhakti Yoga means in devotion, in service. So everything that we're doing here is a practice of that. It's a practice of starting to become aware of our consciousness, aware of our conscious prospect, and to actually feed that thing within us that wants to give. So this kirtan, the meditation on these high topics, is a part of this process. The discussion of these things is a part of the process. We're reformatting our hard drive a little bit, right? From this exploiting unit that views things as good or bad relative to what our plans and our exploitations, how good they're going, to I want to contribute and participate in this greater flow. And ultimately, I want to become a unit of love. I want to be, as Guru Maharaj said, a lover of the infinite. It's a great idea of life. So, thank you all for the discussion. And remember, we're practicing here. We're practicing. Sometimes it gets a little difficult. Sometimes you lose your focus. Sometimes, whatever. It's practice. We're going to... Yes,
it just hit me that, Srila Prabhupada told us from almost day one that we should make lifelong plans for our own Krishna consciousness and spreading Krishna consciousness. That means, now, wherever we're at, we have to think, what is my future in Krishna consciousness? How will I mold my life in such a way so that I'll be able to more and more enter to a state of fixed determination in Krishna consciousness? Surround myself with persons and circumstances that will enable me to more and more develop in Krishna consciousness. I think it's really important to think like that, to plan like that. How my life is going to go. Of course, there's external plans. I'm going to finish my college education. I'm going to go into this area. That's all fine. But beyond that, there's the planning of development in our spiritual life, placing ourselves more and more in a situation where Krishna consciousness surrounds us. I used to tell that we have to just trap ourselves. We have to think like, how can I, trap this ego and my surroundings in such a way so that there's nothing but Krishna consciousness. And that's just like, such a wonderful like goal, because we realize that all the temporary connections and stuff that we've done in this material world haven't really helped us to complete our lives. All that external experience has led us to the point, by higher grace, that we're seeking another kind of life that's beyond the externals of like material functionality or material friendship or love or all these things. We have to find the real source of all these material experiences is in spiritual experience. It's not as though there's like, you just level off and there's really not much experience there. It's like unlimitedly in variety, even beyond the variety of this world. So if we experience some amazing things in this world, as far as we can see, we can simply think and imagine what is the possible experience that's there in the development of my spiritual consciousness. How can I direct myself in that way, make my life molded fully in that direction? That's the chance for all of us, and we just have to learn more and more to be conscious of that, and with thought and intention, direct our lives in such a way so that we are naturally in a position to grow in Krishna consciousness ourselves, and as we grow, be more and more in the position to help others, begin their journey or progress along their journey. We all have that possibility. Even now, everybody's touched Krishna consciousness to a whatever extent, and that touch is unique. What you have is special, unique, individual, and what you have, other people don't necessarily have. We can share so much in our experiences in Krishna consciousness, and as so we try to. Anyway, I'm saying we try to mold our lives and direct our lives in such a way so that more and more we're surrounded with Krishna conscious people and circumstances, and that's like the same direction for our lives. That's the way in which we can really like fulfill the positive objective of our lives. To minute by minute try to mold ourselves. Of course, we won't always remember, but to set some kind of structural goal and to make more and more, make our lives such that more and more we'll be surrounded with Krishna consciousness. I guess I'm saying the same thing over and over again.
We need to hear it.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing because what we think of in the West as yoga, first of all, no one knows what the word means. It's a verb, and it means to link. And most people think about it as exercise or something that's healthy. But actually the intention of yoga is to move our consciousness into a particular direction. It's very easy for us to put our physical bodies into a particular posture. But as you progress in yoga, as Maharaj was saying, you're actually moving your consciousness into a posture. That's what the deepest purpose is. And as you go through many different conscious postures, if you read Bhagavad Gita, which is called the yoga scripture, Krishna is going through many, many, many chapters of consciousness, really. Postures of consciousness, karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, karma sannyasa yoga, etc., etc. As you go through all of these chapters, these are all modifications of our conscious perspective. So it's easy when we're sitting here to just think, okay, I got to sit here.
And that's good. But ultimately, it's a conscious attempt. You've got to root down to, the first chapter of Gita, Krishna's saying, the most important thing is your intention. Keep feeling, what is my intention? Why am I doing this? Right? As you're doing whatever you're doing. It's very, very important in Bhakti Yoga because you have to constantly refer back to that essence that is yourself and turning that into a posture. From a posture of fear and suspicion and exploitation to a posture of love and giving and trust in your motion through infinity. Okay. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj ki jai.
One grammatical notation. The verb is huge, and the nominative is yoga.
Yeah, it's a gerund.
Okay, you will know more about that. Okay, yes, the yoga is the gerund. So kind of it's like verbal also, right?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can they spin this around? My feet caught in it? No.
Not yet.
I feel it.
Oh, there he is.
I'm gonna pray.
You guys going now or?
Let me pour it to you.
I'm just gonna ask Shirley what's going on with Jackie.
Okay.
All right, he's armed with his dhoti.
Okay, everybody, for those that don't know, I'm sure everybody knows, Jai Dev and Nani. You feel better. Everybody wish them well. They're all flying to Italy right now.
Villa Govinda, ki jai.
Hi, everybody.
Shirley, get a safe trip. Send you out.
We'll miss you.
I'm a little sick and I don't know if I should be here.
It's fine. No one's.
Drink a lot of 7-Up.
Why am I doing?
Enjoy it.
Yashamati Nandana Brajavaranagara.
Bhavati Nandana Bhavaranagara.
Ranjana Kana.
Jai. Jai. Jai.
प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय
जय।
श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपिका श्याम सुंदर राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय
जय।
श्री वृंदावन धाम की
जय।
जय मथुरा धाम की जय
जय।
यमुना देवी की जय
जय।
श्री तुलसी महारानी की जय
जय।
जय गंगा देवी की जय
जय।
श्री नवदीप धाम की
जय।
जय श्री मायापुर यमुदी धाम की जय
जय।
जय श्री चैतन्य सारस्वत मत की जय
जय।
सर्वमगम भक्तवृंद की जय
Jai.
समवेत भक्तवृंद की
जय।
जय समवेत वैष्णव मंगल की जय
जय।
श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय
जय।
निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे
Hari Hari Bol.
तुलसी महारानी की जय
Krishna Bhakti Hari Devi Satyavata Jagavataravescha Vasinjaveta Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Oh,
Are we doing outside today?
hey Sue, will you hand me that metal glass, please? Thank you.
What a week.
Yes, I'm good. How are you? I know.
To be worried.
Jelly.
Oh my God.
So we have prasad now, it's gonna be in the backyard. We have seats there where everyone can sit. If you need your shoes, you can walk around through the back gate. Otherwise, you can just go through there, through the kitchen, and then down the stairs and out. So as you like.
Fully committed. You're throwing
That's a lot, so what time you do?
I really enjoyed it every time.
This is like the first time I'm doing something like this in Latte,
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, today's like a good day. It's the first day I feel like, okay, we're kind
For
of
the
like.
last 4 years, I've been doing like meditation all on the